On August 22nd, 2005, a 48-year-old man named David Castor was found face down on his bed in Onondaga County, New York. He was naked. He was covered in vomit and blood. On the nightstand beside him sat a glass half filled with bright green liquid, and on the floor beneath his feet was a gallon jug of antifreeze. His wife Stacy had called 911 about an hour earlier. She told the operator her husband had locked himself in the bedroom after an argument and hadn't come out for a full day. She said he was depressed. When police kicked in the bedroom door, she screamed that he wasn't dead. But he was. The coroner initially ruled it a suicide. That ruling would turn out to be very, very wrong. To understand what happened inside David Castor's body, you need to understand what antifreeze actually is. The active ingredient in most automotive antifreeze is a compound called ethylene glycol. It's colourless when diluted, essentially odourless, and it has a distinctly sweet taste. That sweetness is part of what makes it so dangerous. Mixed into a drink, you might not notice it at all. But here's where the chemistry gets disturbing. Ethylene glycol by itself isn't actually that toxic. Your body could handle it, filter it, move on. The problem is your liver. Your liver contains an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase, and the moment ethylene glycol hits your system, that enzyme gets to work breaking it down. First into glycoaldehyde, then into glycolic acid, then glyoxylic acid, and finally into oxalic acid. Each of those steps produces something worse than the last. Glycolic acid floods your blood with acid, tanking your pH and sending your body into severe metabolic acidosis. Your blood literally becomes too acidic to function. Your breathing gets rapid and shallow as your lungs try desperately to blow off carbon dioxide to compensate. Your heart rate spikes, your blood pressure becomes unstable. But the final product, oxalic acid, does something your body has no answer for. Oxalic acid binds to calcium in your blood and forms tiny, sharp, needle-like crystals called calcium oxalate. These crystals travel through your bloodstream and deposit everywhere: your brain, your lungs, your heart. But they have a particular affinity for one organ above all others: your kidneys. Your kidneys filter roughly 180 litres of blood every single day. They're built to catch things that don't belong. So when calcium oxalate crystals come flooding through, the kidneys do exactly what they're designed to do. They catch them. The crystals lodge inside the proximal tubules, the tiny structures where your kidneys do most of their filtration work. Once there, they don't just sit passively. They puncture cell membranes. They destroy mitochondria. They trigger massive inflammation and oxidative stress. The tubular cells begin dying in waves, a process called acute tubular necrosis. And as more and more of those tubules are destroyed, the kidneys start to shut down. Urine output drops to almost nothing. Toxins that would normally be filtered out begin accumulating in the blood. Potassium levels spike, which can stop the heart. Without dialysis or intervention, this process is fatal. In David Castor's case, nobody intervened. Nobody called for help, because the person closest to him was the one killing him. Prosecutors would later determine that Stacy Castor had been feeding her husband antifreeze for approximately 4 days before his death. She likely started by mixing it into his drinks. Ethylene glycol's sweet taste would have been easy to disguise in a mixed cocktail or a sweetened beverage. As the poisoning progressed and David became more incapacitated, too weak and confused to resist, investigators believe Stacy switched to a more direct method. In the kitchen trash, police found a brand new turkey basta. It smelled like alcohol, had traces of green liquid inside it, and David Castor's DNA was found on the tip. Only on the tip, not on the handle. Someone had used that basta to force antifreeze down his throat while he was too sick to fight back. Think about that for a second. The 3 stages of ethylene glycol poisoning typically unfold over 24 to 72 hours. Stage 1 is neurological. Within the first few hours, you appear drunk, confused, disoriented. You slur your words, lose coordination, maybe vomit. Stage 2 kicks in around 12 hours. Your heart begins racing. Your breathing becomes laboured. Your blood pH is plummeting. Stage 3 arrives between 24 and 72 hours, and that's when the kidneys fail. Flank pain, dramatically reduced urine output, acute tubular necrosis from all those calcium oxalate crystals shredding the inside of your renal tubules. David Castor went through all 3 stages over the course of days. Locked in his bedroom, with his wife on the other side of the door. She told police he was in there because he was depressed. She told them he'd been drinking. She never called for medical help, not once. At the morgue, Chief Deputy Medical Examiner Robert Stoppacher performed the autopsy. When he examined David's kidneys, he found them riddled with crystals. Calcium oxalate packed into the tubular walls. It was textbook ethylene glycol poisoning. The kidneys had been destroyed from the inside out. At first, investigators treated the case as a tragic suicide, but a few things didn't add up. Stacey's fingerprints were on the glass of antifreeze. David's fingerprints were not. There was a loaded shotgun under the bed. If a man wanted to end his life, why would he choose to slowly poison himself over 3 days when a faster option was within arm's reach? And then there was the turkey baster. Investigators began digging deeper. They discovered that David wasn't Stacey's first husband to die under suspicious circumstances. Her first husband, Michael Wallace, had died in 2000 at the age of 38. His death had been attributed to a heart attack. But 3 months before he died, Wallace had told his doctor something strange. He said he felt drunk, even though he hadn't been drinking. That sensation, intoxication without alcohol, is one of the classic early signs of ethylene glycol poisoning. Stacey had blocked an autopsy at the time, so nobody looked any further. Until now. In 2007, investigators exhumed Michael Wallace's body. Toxicology found ethylene glycol. His kidney showed the same thing. Calcium oxalate crystals. The same pattern. The same poison. The same wife. When Stacey learned police had dug up her first husband, she panicked. And what she did next is almost hard to believe. Her daughter Ashley, who was 20 years old and had just started college, came home to visit. Stacey offered her a drink. Ashley said it tasted nasty, but she drank it because her mom insisted. The next morning, Ashley's younger sister Bree found her unconscious. Stacey had spiked the drink with a lethal combination of vodka, crushed pills, and medication. She'd been feeding it to Ashley for 17 hours. Beside Ashley's body was a typed suicide note. In it, Ashley supposedly confessed to killing both her father and her stepfather with antifreeze. There was just one problem. The note misspelled antifreeze as antifree 4 times. And when investigators had previously interviewed Stacey, they'd noticed something. She consistently mispronounced the word the exact same way, antifree. Detectives searched her computer and found multiple drafts of the note, all created while Ashley was at school. The timestamps proved Ashley couldn't have written it. Ashley survived. Barely. She spent days in the hospital and later testified against her mother at trial. In 2009, Stacey Castor was found guilty of second-degree murder for David's death and attempted second-degree murder for what she did to Ashley. The judge, Joseph Fahey, told her that in 34 years of working in the criminal justice system, he had never seen anyone like her. He said she was in a class by herself. Stacey Castor was sentenced to 51 years to life. She was found dead in her prison cell on June 11th, 2016. She was 49 years old. The motive, as far as prosecutors could establish, was money. She had forged David's will to cut out his son. She collected on life insurance. She had done the same with Michael Wallace. 2 husbands. Same poison. Same crystals in the kidneys. Same woman who never called for help. Ethylene glycol is cheap, widely available, and frighteningly easy to disguise. It doesn't show up on standard toxicology screenings. You have to specifically test for it. And the calcium oxalate crystals it leaves behind in the kidneys are one of the only reliable ways to identify the poisoning after death. David Castor's kidneys told the story his wife tried to hide. The crystals don't lie. If you want to see another case where someone's body chemistry revealed the truth that the people around them tried to bury, that video is on screen now. Click it.